and then they're automatically given a supplement or something of that nature to try and deal with the marker that they found to be either high or low. Now, objectively, a single marker means nothing. As an example, a lot of people that I've worked with, specifically young men, they'll come in with testosterone that is low, and the last thing I'm doing is connecting them to a doctor so that they can go and get testosterone. I'm looking at, okay, well, what's the bottleneck within the physiology that is making testosterone be low? It can be so many different things. It can be a lack of sleep. It could be, oh, we see elevated liver enzymes. The liver's having problems with clearing the body of toxins, and that's leading to a decrease in testosterone. It could be that they're overtraining and undereating. Maybe they're literally training too much and not eating enough calories, and that's tanking their testosterone. Or it could be something they're stressed out all the time, they're not sleeping well. Or it could be something as simple as, hey, they're not getting enough fats in their diet, they're not getting enough cholesterol, and therefore pregnenolone, the first step of making testosterone, is not happening, and that's artificially bringing the number down. So the last thing we want to do is look at a marker and give a supplement. I'm not going to give them shilajit and bee pollen, and I'm definitely not going to connect them to a doctor to start taking a peptide or something else. I'm going to look at their lifestyle and find the bottleneck, the thing that is constraining their ability to produce testosterone. Now, the same is true with, let's use B12. Vitamin B12, very critical for methylation, very critical for energy production, very critical for a lot of roles within the body. Now, you might see on a blood panel that iron and B12 are low. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is say, okay, let's get on a methylated B12 supplement and let's get on an iron supplement. What I am going to do is try and figure out what's going on. Are they stressed all the time? Does their intake form tell me that they're having digestive issues? So could those digestive issues be, well, now there's an absorption issue of B12 and iron. There's not necessarily a deficiency because they're not taking in enough substrate, and by giving them more substrate might do absolutely nothing if it is a digestive issue. Okay, so we have to look at things like B12 and things like iron from a systems perspective. We can't just say, here, take this and bring it down. Now, the exact same with glucose. If I see someone that has an HbA1c that's elevated, okay, so we're talking like pre-diabetic range, the last thing that I'm going to do is give them supplements to bring down that hemoglobin A1c. I'm going to look at their lifestyle. Can we add in some resistance training if they're not doing it so that we get more GLUT4 to the membrane, which is going to bring more glucose into the cells? Can we be smarter with when we're eating carbohydrates? Okay, can we time our carbs around times when we've had a little bit more activity? Can we decrease meal size, because just over consuming calories, that in of itself can increase average blood glucose. It doesn't have to just be carbohydrates. Do they have some form of practice to help them manage and deal with stress? We know that elevated blood glucose can come from food, but it can also come from chronic stress. So looking at those factors, you're definitely not going to go send them to a doctor and have them take whatever blood glucose medication is hot that day. Okay, same thing goes for if someone has elevated cholesterol. If someone comes and they have elevated LDL cholesterol, well, first and foremost, that lab marker means nothing. We have to see, okay, what's the HDL to LDL ratio? Where are our triglycerides at? And that matters most. So commonly people will be thrown on statins, or they'll be told to remove cholesterol, which makes absolutely no sense. Your body vitally needs cholesterol. And if we're not interpreting these lab markers in conjunction with, okay, what's the ratio? Where are their triglycerides at? Where's their A1C at? Then just having a high LDL cholesterol on a lab marker means absolutely nothing. Okay, if I see someone come in and they have GGT, AST, ALT elevated, these are common signs that the liver is having a hard time and that the liver is overworking, and potentially they could be on their way to something like fatty liver disease. But once again, the last thing we're going to do is put them on a liver medication. We're going to say, okay, what are the factors that we can decrease to take the burden off of the liver? Are they drinking alcohol? Are they eating processed food? Are they spraying shitty chemicals and using terrible cleaning products in their house? Are they cooking on a brutal pan? Are they eating a lot of processed garbage that's making the liver work harder? So all I'm trying to get at is that blood work is great data. Blood work objectively tells us if something is high, if something is low, and then we have to investigate as to why that is. We don't want to just take a supplement, or we don't want to just take a medication, or we don't want to just jump right into a detox. We want to look at everything in its totality, what the marker is telling us, and then what the lifestyle is telling us, and see if just by fixing the lifestyle we can get those markers to change. I see it and I do it all the time with people when it comes to blood work. I never overreact at a marker. If I have to overreact at a marker, that generally means I got to pass them off to a doctor because it could be something very, very serious that I can't deal with. But for the most part, when I see something high or something low, I'm just looking at that as an opportunity to fix the physiology and get rid of the constraint that is currently constraining them. Same with vitamin D. If you see low vitamin D, just, okay, yeah, take a vitamin D supplement. That's the last thing we want to do right away. If we have low vitamin D, the first thing we want to do is say, okay, what are we doing day to day? Are we getting sunlight? Are we trying to take midday breaks? Are we doing things that would allow our bodies to naturally produce vitamin D? And then if we have to lean on a supplement to help, sure, but it's never the way. We just want to look at a marker. We want to look at lifestyle, and we want to say, what does that marker tell us about the lifestyle, and try to reverse engineer the lifestyle to fix the marker, not take something exogenously to fix the single marker. And the reason why I get so passionate about blood work and lifestyle and all these things is because something like low testosterone or low vitamin D or low iron, it's not just a lab number. Those things can make us feel anxious. They can make us feel depressed. They can make our energy not be produced efficiently. They can constrain and start to limit our perceptual view of our life and what we deem we're capable of because our physiology isn't working properly. I've seen it time and time again when people through lifestyle intervention get markers back to where they should be, their life opens up because those markers aren't just about one thing. The body works as a system, and if your testosterone is low, if your B12 is low, if your folate is low, if your iron is low, all of these things can have a huge impact on our ability to chase our dreams, to be there for our families, to feel that we have the energy and energetics to get after life. So that's why I have such a deep passion for physiology, because it can truly be the gateway in which we expand our lives, or it can be the gateway that depresses our lives, that depresses our body, that depresses our minds, that makes us feel we're not capable of certain things simply because we don't have the energy, because our body is lacking within its system something that it needs. So if you are going to get blood work done, make sure that you don't overreact at a marker, and make sure you're asking deep questions as to what does this marker tell me about my lifestyle, and what within my lifestyle can I change for that marker to come back into a healthy and good range.